In 2025, QVC sat on the single most valuable asset in retail. They were piped into 88 million households. They had decades of live selling expertise that every TikTok creator is now scrambling to learn. And they saw the live commerce wave coming years before anyone else did. 7 months later, they filed for bankruptcy with over $6.6 billion in debt. Now, there's a specific mistake that pulled them under, and it has nothing to do with being slow, old, or missing the trend. They actually saw everything coming. They had the resources and they had the audience, but what killed them is actually something that is killing thousands of e-commerce sellers right now, especially Amazon sellers who think that they're safe. Now, the same thing that killed QVC is what's making this the best time I've seen in years to get into live selling. There are entire categories sitting wide open right now, platforms actively incentivizing new sellers, and almost nobody is paying attention to any of it yet. But first, let's talk about what happened to QVC. Let me walk through the actual numbers because they're pretty crazy when you lay them all out. In 2023, QVC Group was making $10.9 billion in revenue. But in 2024, revenue dropped to $10 billion, and in 2025, it fell again to $8.3 billion, with net losses topping $2.1 billion. Now, all told, that is $2.6 billion in revenue gone in just 2 years against a debt load of $6.6 billion that they couldn't pay back. And then, on April 16th, they filed Chapter 11 with a plan to slash that debt down to $1.3 billion and emerge from bankruptcy within 90 days. Now, to understand how this all happened, you have to understand what QVC was actually built on. They reach approximately 88 million American households through live television channels, and for decades, that was the entire model. Get on cable, sell to the people watching, and build a loyal customer base that comes back every single week. And for a long time, it worked really well. They built genuine brand trust, a buying base that showed up consistently, and pretty insane revenue numbers. And in fact, my mom used to spend hundreds of dollars per week on the platform. Now, the problem is that cable television has been dying for over a decade. In QVC's primary customer base, people between 45 and 75 were not converting over to live shopping apps or the social platforms. QVC's own earnings report had been warning about declining viewership every single quarter for years. They knew what was happening, but they just had no way to stop it and no plan to rebuild the audience anywhere else. And when they finally tried to build one, it was already too late. But even with all that, it's actually not the real reason why they failed. The actual cause of death is something I've been watching kill online businesses of every size for the last 19 years. Now, every business I've ever watched fail from a platform change died for the same reason. They built their entire operation on a distribution channel they didn't own, did not control, and could not survive without. I watched this happen to a friend of mine, John Rampton, who I interviewed on my podcast a while back. John was selling organizers and containers on Amazon and built it to a $9 million annual business. But when one of his vendors started shipping orders late and running out of stock, Amazon's system flagged the fulfillment issues, banned his account, and that was it. He could not get it back. So here's the part that actually matters. John had no email list and no direct relationship with any of his customers. Every buyer was locked inside of Amazon's platform, so when his account got banned, he could not reach a single one of them. He couldn't even tell them where he went. So $9 million in annual revenue gone overnight because the customer relationship lived on a platform he did not own. QVC made the exact same mistake at $10 billion. Now, I lived through a version of this myself, and it was painful. When Google rolled out its helpful content update, it wiped out the organic traffic to my store's blog almost overnight. Content that had been driving consistent sales for years just stopped getting found. I had friends running affiliate marketing blogs that were almost entirely dependent on that Google traffic, and most of them never fully recovered from that one algorithm change. Now, the reason it didn't destroy my business was simple. I had spent years building an email list alongside of everything else, and so when the Google traffic disappeared, I kept selling to the 100,000 people who had given me their address directly. And today, over 60% of my revenue comes from owned channels. And that list is what keeps this business going through every change happening right now. Now, it's the same kind of platform shift that killed John with two completely different outcomes. The only variable was whether the customer relationship lived somewhere that I controlled. Now, this vulnerability is identical across every platform out there. An Amazon-only seller is one account ban, one policy change, or one category restriction away from being John Rampton. A Shopify-only seller is one Google algorithm update from being invisible. And a TikTok creator is one platform ban away from starting over. The medium changes, but the trap is the exact same. So always build your own audience in parallel with whatever you're doing on a third-party platform, whether that's email, SMS, or a private community. Something that lives completely off-platform and travels with you when things change, because the platform is how you find the customer. The owned list is how you keep them. Now here's where the story gets interesting, because while QVC was watching itself implode, something completely different was being built on the other side, and the numbers on this new business model were killing it. And if you're interested in learning how to start your own profitable e-commerce business, make sure you sign up for my free 6-day mini course below. It's 100% free, and I guarantee you'll learn a ton. Now, the model replacing broadcast shopping is built on one idea QVC never figured out. The audience shows up for you and not the channel. QVC's model was push distribution. You got on cable, you interrupted strangers who happened to have the television on, and you hoped enough of them bought before they changed the channel. And the whole thing depended on reaching a mass audience you had no relationship with. Live commerce works the other way around. You build a community around a category, and you sell to people who show up on purpose specifically for you. My friend Tiffany Ivanovsky runs a boutique clothing brand called Emmylou's Boutique, and she does over $40 million a year selling clothing almost exclusively through live video. At the Seller Summit, Tiffany did a live selling demo on stage alongside of my wife, and in 15 minutes, in front of a crowd of 200 people, they sold over $1,000 worth of items she grabbed cold from sellers in the audience, products she never touched or pitched before in her life. And because Tiffany had built such a loyal community, the product was almost beside the point. They were buying from her. And that is exactly why the conversion numbers look the way they do. A traditional Shopify store converts around 2 to 3%. Live shopping converts at over 30%. That is a 10 times improvement, and it's coming entirely from trust that was built before the sale ever started. Now this is already playing out at scale. US live shopping sales grew nearly 50% in 2025 to $14.6 billion. And that growth is coming from individual sellers with loyal audiences who built something QVC never could. If you want to understand where the US is headed, just look at China, which is about 5 years further down this road. In 2023, a single live streamer named Li Jiaqi did $3.4 billion in sales in one event. China's live commerce market is now over $800 billion in gross merchandise value, and more than half the population has bought through a live stream. Now here's what this actually means for someone who wants to build an income right now. The live commerce window we're in today is the closest thing to TikTok in 2020 that I've seen. When TikTok was new, the platform needed content volume and rewarded new creators generously to get it. The sellers who started then built audiences of hundreds of thousands of followers without spending $1 on ads. Live commerce platforms are in the same early stage right now. TikTok Shop, Whatnot, and YouTube Live are all actively incentivizing new sellers because the platforms need content volume. And the algorithms favor new live sellers today for the exact same reason TikTok favored new creators in 2020. Now that will eventually change, but right now it's hot. My friend Brandon Young recently started selling on Whatnot and started pulling in $400 to $500 an hour selling trading cards on the platform. The right live selling platform for you depends on your product. TikTok Shop is strongest right now for impulse purchases under $60. Whatnot is built around collectibles and community-driven auctions. YouTube Live reaches a slightly older buyer for higher priced items that need demonstration. And the sellers who match the right platform to the right category early are the ones doing serious numbers right now. But here's the part most new live sellers get wrong. They watch a Tiffany Ivanovsky or a Brandon Young see the numbers and try to do the exact same thing in the exact same category. And by the time they actually show up to sell, the category is already full and the algorithm has nothing left to give them. Picking the right category is the difference between an audience that actually grows and one that gets buried under 1,000 other sellers doing the exact same thing. The saturated categories are the ones you'd guess. Beauty and skincare on TikTok Shop is the worst of them. Health and beauty products accounted for roughly 79% of all TikTok Shop sales in the US last year, and the bar for new entrants in beauty is sky high. Boutique women's clothing is right behind it. The top sellers in this space already have audiences in the hundreds of thousands, and the cost of entry has been climbing every quarter. Trading cards on Whatnot, jewelry, and pop culture collectibles round out the categories, where it's pretty saturated unless you have something genuinely differentiated to bring. But here are the products nobody is paying attention to. There are entire categories where live selling barely exists yet, and they map almost perfectly to what QVC's audience used to buy from cable. Home goods are wide open. The 65-year-old who used to buy kitchen gadgets, bedding, vacuums, and seasonal decor from QVC has nowhere obvious to go right now. A handful of sellers are doing it well on TikTok Shop, but the demand is far ahead of the supply. Tools and hardware are even more underserved. Men over 40 are one of the largest orphaned audiences in live commerce, and a single creator who can demonstrate power tools, knives, fishing gear, or auto detailing products on a live broadcast can capture that market with almost no competition. Pet supplies is another sleeper. Brands like Pelletibro have built major businesses selling smart feeders and water fountains, but almost all of that came through Amazon and traditional retail. The live commerce side of pets is still wide open. The other one almost no one is doing is books. Book Talk generated 59 million print book sales and over $760 million in US revenue last year, but that came almost entirely from creators talking about books. The live selling side has barely been touched. So here's the simple filter that I would use. Look at what your parents or grandparents used to buy from QVC. Anything in that list, whether it's bedding, kitchen tools, gardening supplies, vacuums, hardware, or craft kits, has a buyer base that's actively orphaned right now. Whoever shows up consistently with a personality on a live platform in those categories is going to own that audience for the next decade. So here's the real takeaway from all this. QVC had 88 million households and 0 customers, which is why they were dying. The successful sellers I know who have built durable businesses over the last decade share one quality. They were never the best at any single platform. Instead, they are on all of them. So you have to diversify and recognize when the next platform is coming. QVC had every possible advantage and couldn't use it. The hardest thing in any online business isn't finding the right platform. It's being willing to move to the next one before the current one falls apart under you. QVC couldn't let go of 30 years of what worked, and that hesitation cost them everything. Meanwhile, the opportunity in live commerce is real, and the playbook already exists because China's been using it for years. The only question is whether you're going to move while the window is still open or wait until it is obvious. If you want to go deeper on live selling, check out my video here on how to get started on Whatnot.